You ever wake up thinking the universe is about to hand you a normal day, and then, boom, it flips the script with something so ridiculous you can't help but laugh? That was me the morning I decided to finally toss out my ancient, busted shop vac. This thing had been sitting in my garage for years, motor fried to hell from one dumb attempt to suck up wet cement, duct tape barely holding it together, like some old war buddy I'd kept around out of guilt. My wife Sarah, she'd been on my case forever. Get rid of that eyesore. It's just collecting spiders. So finally, I set it on the curb, slapped on a sign that said, big black marker, free. Broken. Does not work. And figured that was the end of it, you know? But that's when I heard those sharp, staccato clicks on the sidewalk, the kind of sound that announces trouble long before it actually arrives. Margaret Peton, the self-declared queen of our HOA, was out on her daily patrol, clipboard in hand, lips pursed like she'd just tasted a lemon, scanning for violations nobody else cared about. When she spotted the yellow shop vac, you'd think she'd struck gold at a garage sale, her eyes practically glowing. I nodded, gave her the neighborly wave, and ducked back inside, not thinking twice, just happy to be rid of the damn thing. Yeah, well, lesson learned. By lunchtime, the vac was gone. I figured some scrapper picked it up, maybe for parts, good riddance. Went about my day running tax returns in my home office. Margaret always hated that, called it an illegal business, once because a client parked outside her place for all of 15 minutes. Got the citation tossed, but trust me, that woman holds a grudge like nobody's business. 3 days later, I'm watering the lawn when I hear this commotion. Margaret, red-faced, dragging my dead shop vac across the street, huffing like she'd run a marathon. She's shouting for the whole neighborhood to hear. You gave me defective equipment. This thing does not work at all. She starts ranting about how she tried to use it to clean the HOA clubhouse, and it started spewing smoke. I'm just standing there with the garden hose running, mouth hanging open. Margaret, I tell her, that thing was in the trash with a sign on it. Why would you take it? She puffs up even bigger, flips open her bylaw book, and claims that anything left on the curb is community property, and, as president, she has first dibs on anything that could benefit the association. She actually says, dead serious, that I sabotaged HOA property on purpose. The mental gymnastics, I swear, would put an Olympic gymnast to shame. She demands I fix it or buy a new one for the clubhouse. I refuse, obviously. Next morning, there's an official HOA violation taped to my door, $500 for improper disposal of hazardous equipment, creating a public nuisance, attempted destruction of HOA property, and malicious intent to harm community wellness. I kid you not. Malicious intent to harm community wellness. That's when I call Dennis, my old college buddy and attorney. He laughs so hard he nearly drops his phone, tells me to keep every scrap of evidence, and suggests I counterfile for theft. Says technically, even if it's trash, you can't just take stuff off someone's property line. We set a hearing for Tuesday night. I show up to the clubhouse early, folder packed with doorbell footage, repair quotes from 3 years ago, photos of the vac with the broken sign, just in case. Margaret strolls in with what she claims is proof of my conspiracy. She's got printed Facebook screenshots where I liked a neighbor's post about her being petty over flamingo lawn ornaments, and this crazy theory that I planted the vac just to make her look bad. The other board members, David and Janet, look about ready to melt into their chairs. Margaret's ranting, accusing us all of plotting against her. When it's my turn, I lay out the facts. Vacuum's been dead for years. Clear sign. Doorbell cam shows her grabbing it. Nobody asked her to take it. David, always the straight shooter, asks if she saw the sign. She dodges, says it must have blown off, and I replaced it later, but I pull up the footage, timestamp and all, her reading the sign, taking a picture, then marching off with it. Janet actually gasps and asks, Margaret, why would you take something clearly marked as broken? Margaret claims I did it to hoard good equipment, that I'm a master manipulator. Suddenly, she's accusing the board of being in on it. Janet's too naive. David's jealous of her leadership. David finally snaps and says using her position to settle personal vendettas is abuse of power, and honestly, the room gets icy. And then, here's where it all goes off the rails. Margaret declares she's invoking presidential executive authority to override the board and fine me anyway, and she starts frantically typing on her phone. Janet interrupts, says our bylaws require unanimous board approval for any fine over $100, and that executive orders aren't a thing in an HOA. Dennis told me to let her bury herself, so I just watch. Margaret announces she'll call an emergency meeting of all homeowners to vote on my punishment. David points out you need 30 days notice and an actual emergency for that, not a busted shop vac. Suddenly, Margaret loses it. She grabs the vacuum, brought as evidence, and hurls it against the wall, plastic shattering, dust and debris exploding everywhere. For a few seconds, nobody moves. Margaret's standing there, covered in gray powder, breathing like a dragon, looking around as if daring anyone to challenge her. Janet, God bless her, just says, I move to remove Margaret as president for conduct detrimental to the community. David seconds it before the echo even fades. The vote. 2-1. Margaret votes for herself, obviously. Our bylaws give her 5 days to appeal with signatures from a quarter of homeowners. She spends that week knocking on doors, getting rejected, folks pretending not to be home. Harold, the guy on Willow Lane, laughs right in her face, says the shop vac saga is the best thing he's heard all year. By the deadline, she has 3 signatures. Herself, her sister 2 blocks over, and old Mrs. Applegate, who thought she was signing for a UPS delivery. It's official, Margaret's out. But the plot thickens. She gets billed $850 for the cleaning service to fix the mess she made at the clubhouse. Then, she tries to sue me in small claims for emotional distress, representing herself, which is a bad move. Judge asks for evidence I caused her distress. She plunks the shop vac on the table as exhibit A. Judge just blinks, asks why she took broken trash from my curb. She launches into her HOA authority speech, and he tells her HOA presidents aren't trash royalty. Dismisses her suit with prejudice, tells her to pay my $225 in court costs, and, twist, recognizes her from a fence dispute a few months back. He literally suggests she reconsider her approach to community disputes. Word spreads fast. Someone makes a meme of Margaret dragging the shop vac with the caption, Trash Collector-in-Chief. The neighborhood group chat eats it up. After clients start whispering, her real estate agency suggests a leave of absence. 3 weeks later, for sale sign goes up at her house, and by noon someone's taped on, shop vac not included. She accepts an offer 20 grand under asking, just to leave town. At closing, she warns the new owners to never put anything on the curb unless you mean it. David, the new HOA president, passes the Peton rule. If you take something from a curb and it's broken, you've got 24 hours to return it, no questions asked. We buy a new shop vac for the clubhouse, same model, working this time, plaque on the side. In memory of Margaret's presidency, may it rest in pieces. I kept the broken pieces in my garage. Sarah wants them gone, but I can't bring myself to toss them, you know? Sometimes, the trash really does take itself out. Then, last week, I get a Christmas card from Margaret's sister. Turns out she's on another HOA board, already causing trouble about trash cans. Some folks, they just can't change. The security cam footage of Margaret and my shop vac is now a training video for new board members, complete with dramatic music. Janet edited it herself, credits and all. Margaret's total cost? $850 for cleaning, $225 court, $20,000 on the sale, and who knows how much in lost income. All that drama over a dead vacuum. And as for the lawsuit, dismissed with prejudice, meaning she's barred from ever suing me about this again. I swear, when the clerk read that, Margaret's jaw hit the floor. She muttered something about $1,500 in fines over a stupid vacuum and stormed out. To this day, every time someone puts out their trash, the whole neighborhood remembers the saga, and the lesson is crystal clear. Sometimes, it's not about the vacuum. It's about knowing when to let go. So, what do you think? Honestly, was I wrong for putting the sign out? Or was Margaret just looking for a fight? Ever had a neighbor go off the rails over something petty? Drop your stories below. Tell me where you're watching from. And let's settle this. What's the wildest HOA drama you've ever seen?